Joining us in studio, though, Lloyd Atkinson. He's on the board of the Princess Margaret Hospital Foundation. He participated in the Ride to Conquer Cancer. He's one of the hospital's top fundraisers, and our topic is fundraising, because that machine that we saw was $5 million. I mean, what are the financial needs of Princess Margaret Hospital, for instance?
Well, if you talk to many of the doctors, they'll say it's unlimited. This is a situation in which, they have as their logo, that we, in fact, will conquer cancer in our lifetime. And certainly after listening to the presentations by the docs, I am convinced that we are talking about it within our lifetime. And certainly, now that's a particular surgical machine, the Da Vinci, and very, very expensive, but it allows the docs to basically perform surgery much less invasive than in the past and much more accurate than it had been in the past, because the machines themselves prevent the kind of jerkiness that can happen, of course, if you just have your hands. The remarkable work that is being done at that institution by the likes of Tak Mak in breast cancer, Ben Neal, molecular, and that is the future. And the teams that they have at Princess Margaret has really created for Canada a jewel known as Princess Margaret. It's remarkable.
We've seen some very sort of big fundraising by the hospitals. The Ride for the Cure to Conquer Cancer, huge one. I think huge outpouring of money, I think exceeding everyone's expectations. We are in a very different environment now. You're on the board looking ahead. What do you think it's going to be like this year for fundraising?
We're obviously concerned about it. It's certainly not that people don't want to, in fact, loosen up their wallets. It's just that there is less in their wallets than there had been before. But our efforts at Princess Margaret are basically to say we have to redouble, we have to triple our efforts in order to ensure that the research efforts and the treatment efforts at the hospital do not, in fact, take a step backwards during this period of time. So it's just a lot more work, a lot more effort. We're coming up on the 2009 Ride to Conquer Cancer. We have got, we're almost full up in terms of the number of eligible riders. And certainly the spirit at Princess Margaret is one of optimism with respect to the future. Again,
how, when you talk about charities, they talk about overhead and those kinds of things. How efficient is cancer fundraising? I mean, does all the money go to cancer patients, or how efficient?
I don't know the precise numbers. Certainly there are costs that are incurred, quite legitimate costs for the purpose of raising these funds. But an awful lot of the actual expenditures themselves are made up of volunteers. Large numbers of volunteers. I mean, certainly everybody on the Princess Margaret Hospital board is a volunteer. And it varies depending upon, obviously, whether we are talking about some of the lotteries or whether we're talking about the ride or the weekend.
Just on the subject of the ride, you're on that ride. I was on that ride at the way back end of the ride. The thing that I found quite amazing about it was more than just fundraising, wasn't it? It was the spirit of that ride in many ways was a metaphor for fighting cancer, just this quiet determination to get to the finish line.
Yeah, well, there certainly was that. And, the large numbers of people, you may have recalled the large numbers of people that had flags attached to their bicycles. Yeah. They were survivors, and many of them had stories. But, almost every single person on the ride at least knew somebody, even if they themselves had not experienced cancer directly, knew people who had been touched.
Lloyd, thanks very much for this perspective.
Thank you.
We here at BNN are lending our support, obviously, to Princess Margaret Hospital's efforts to conquer cancer. You can help conquer cancer in our lifetime, as their slogan says, by calling 1-866-YES-PMHF or visiting www.giftofstock.ca this holiday season and give the gift of stock. That's it for us here on Market Morning. Up next.